Hey guys, it's Kiara, and let's get back to it. Let's continue choosing our composition, and we'll hopefully finish our logo by now. So, as a quick reminder, you should probably save your document. So I'm going to do that now. SkiWorld. And as another note, if you're not comfortable with this process, I highly suggest that you just start sketching on paper. Jot down as many ideas as possible, and just have fun with it. You might come across some very cool concepts. And as a hint when you do that, sketch very, very small, like 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. That way, if you can make out your logo when it's that tiny, when you enlarge it, it's going to look pretty good. And you can see the exact same type of composition happening in these logos. Well, not so much logos, but ideas, right? Because up close, we can really depict that this is a mountain with a sharp edge and a moon or a sun above it. Same with here, it's a pretty large pin, you see what it is. Or in this case, we see that these are goggles for snowboarding and skiing. But if we zoom all the way out, we can still make out that exact same fact. This is a mountain, this is a pin, and these are goggles. Even further, I can still make it out. Showing us that this logo, or this direction that we're going, is already pretty solid. Because if we were doing something else that had more detail, and let's just go back for example, if we chose to do something like this, for example, I said example twice there, if we go all the way down, you see that there's a lot of information being conveyed here, right? We can even, let's say, like take this bar. There's a lot of little information, text lines, and if we zoom all the way out, it starts to get messy and it's lost when you zoom out. And that's perfectly fine for this style. It's FUIs, it's scientific, it's futuristic. This is perfect for that type of style. But for our client, we have a large medium. This logo is going to be used everywhere, so we need to make sure it scales well. So in this case, we've pretty much just done that. Very simple forms. Because we know how the logo is going to be used, and because of that, we can design with purpose. And that's a very important aspect you should try to understand right before you start designing the logo. Understand how it's going to be used and where it's going to be used. That way you're not going to run into these types of issues. Because we had almost a similar example when we first created a document in Illustrator. We had to choose between RGB and CMYK. But because we knew that this logo is going to be printed on business cards, it had to be CMYK, right? So we already know where it's going to be used, so we know how to design it. Very simple concept, but this applies to almost every technique that you're going to use. So let's actually get back to illustrating. So far with the goggles, I'm not too sold on the idea, but we do have a pretty good composition here. So I'm going to bring this to the white. And I'm just going to select everything and drag it all the way up. Just to make this illusion continue to happen, I'm going to select the white color here. And let's make this black. Because black is going to pop out the most. I'm going to sample this color. And I'm going to sample this color from the image. Because these are fairly similar, so we're going to continue using it. And now I'm going to play with one more idea, is that I'm going to borrow the idea from here. Because we have this sun or moon above it, right? And I think the idea could look pretty cool. So we're going to take the ellipse tool, and we're going to draw out a circle. And let's sample color. Let's make it orange and put it all the way back. And let's start analyzing what's right and what's wrong with this logo. So as soon as we put that sun in the middle, personally, I don't see the sunglasses anymore. I see a circle and around it a very mysterious form that doesn't have a shape. So already not too sold on it. And we can't put any shine here because then it's going to be lost. Because such tiny details, they're not necessary in the logo and a regular user won't even see them. So this composition already has some problems. Let's make this smaller though. And let's put this above. Now let's scroll out. Now what do we see? Now I still see the sunglass shape, but now I see like a dot, almost like a target reticle. And I'm also not a big fan of this. Because if we remove this all of a sudden, then we see the sunglass shape. But anything inside of it kind of ruins it. And that's a little bit of a breakthrough because we know that this composition is a bit hard to work with, right? Maybe there is a way to execute this properly, but I'm not sold on this idea and I'm not going to get stuck on the idea. So I'm going to continue on. But I still like the shape. So let's take the pin idea. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I'm going to drag it up. let's make this white just to continue the illusion. And also, really cool note, this is what I would call non-linear workflow, because if I was trying to go back in time or change a color, I can just select this and change it to black. Or I can just completely remove it from the shape. I'm not exactly bound by any timeline, because these shapes aren't cut, they aren't permanent, these aren't how the anchor points are going to stay forever. I can move them around, move the shapes around, because I'm just layering on top of each other, right? I can move this behind one, I can move it behind again, and if we move it ahead one, we actually see a really cool mountain shape, so maybe that's how we explore. But the idea is that we don't actually cut it out from the shape. We could easily just highlight this entire shape and just divide it. Then we could just delete the black, merge all the other shapes together. And that's it. We can't move the black, we can't move the points around, our square is pretty much gone, and that's it. But when you're actually playing around with the logo, you want as much flexibility, so try not to do anything permanent, and just try to stick with basic geometric shapes. So I'm gonna go back. And this idea of having a mountain in the middle, I quite like that idea, to be completely honest. So I'm gonna make everything black, just because it's gonna pop out the most. And we have the circle here, so I'm gonna make that yellow. Kind of like that. Now we're gonna put a shine just halfway through. So I'm gonna draw out a white rectangle, just with a pen tool. That looks pretty cool already, but now I can't tell the difference between the sun and the shine. So let's make this white. And I actually quite really like that. But we have the problem that the pyramid almost looks like we're looking from up above, right? Almost like an isometric format or an isometric camera, and then the sun is looking directly at you. So something's not right. I kind of don't like that shape, so let's see if we can add something else to this mountain maybe, just to give it some more form. So again, because these are geometric shapes, I'm just going to remove it, and I'm going to push this back. And I'm going to draw my own rectangles and my own pyramids. So let's go from the top right almost. I'm going to hold shift to make a 45-degree angle. I'll bring it all the way down, and I'll bring it all the way up. So that's going to be our white. Or white. And we don't see the white overlaying, because again, just an illusion. And we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to draw out some kind of black space and bring it up. And we know that these shapes are both equal because it's a 45-degree angle. Alright, so I kind of like that better. And now let's draw out another shape. So I'm going to start from this point, go a bit up higher. And I'm going to make this white. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. And one, oh, I already have a pointer started off. So I'm just going to delete that. Let's start from the new. Let's make a new thing, holding shift. And let's make that black. And I already quite like that, because the actual perspective is a bit fixed now, and it kind of looks better in my eyes. But now we have the problem that the right side looks heavier than the left side. So that's something to keep in mind, so let's fix that up. I think if we just give this more height, so I'm going to select both points, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll bring this back. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, perfect. I like that already much more. Now we're going to shift everything to the left a bit. And with that being said, we're going to have to fix our shape. And I think this will need some adjustments too, so I'll bring it to the left and up. And I'm kind of trying to find a balance here. So if this is a center point, I kind of want it to be, you know, roughly the same distance away from the center. Not too close, not too far away. Just pretty much with a gut feeling. All right, I really like that. So now let's play with one more thing. I want to see how the thickness is applied here. And again, this composition still works if we scroll far away, so I'm still happy. and we're gonna try this mountain design as well. So I'm gonna bring this all to the left, Command C, Command F, and we have a new version. I'm gonna make the sun bigger. I'm gonna adjust the black again, just so we don't see the overlap. See how it looks. And that's a bit too much for the sun. I still like this version. Let's bring in this sun. Command C, Command F. And let's see if we can flip the logo and add the highlights onto it. So we'll make this black. And we're gonna pull it all the way up. Pull it all the way up. And we'll make this black as well. There is some seeping happening. And that's a problem on my part, just because I didn't hold shift when I did the anchor point. And now we're just gonna take this shape. I'm gonna lay it on. So we're pretty much just going a bit down. We're gonna flatten it out, go up a bit, and make a linear bend. And we'll bring it up. And we'll take this anchor point and match it. It should lock up automatically. We'll sample color, and we'll see how it looks. Doesn't look too bad, but the colors are clashing. And the clashing of the colors is not something I like right now. So I'm gonna bring it in, make it a bit tighter. I like that. Now if we do that on the second logo, it'll have to be much, much smaller. And this is actually probably the flaw in my design, just because once the details get so small, you won't even be able to notice them. And yeah, that's the flaw in our design. You kind of don't even notice the second mountain. So we'll just scrap that idea. It doesn't work, it's too complicated. Let's try something else. So let's actually try to sample these colors now. So I'm going to keep the same size on the sun for now. It's not bothering me too much. But let's actually take a gradient. So let's take... Let's avoid the reds for now. Let's add these to our palette. So new swatch. Let's do new swatch. And let's do new swatch. And actually, maybe let's actually just take one red. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to experiment. So we'll take this orangey red, blood orange per se, and we'll add it in. So we got the 4 colors. Let's go back to our logo. And let's hit this gradient button, and we'll just drag them in. So I'm going to start off with a bright yellow and seep it to a darker orange. Let's make it go from top to bottom. And that doesn't look quite bad. A bit weaker than the bright yellow. So I'm just going to go and Google quickly. So sunsets on the bottom are usually brighter, and they'll seep to a darker color. So red to blue. And these are heavily Photoshop. We have yellow to like a light blue. Yellow to red. Yeah, so let's actually take this idea. We'll copy the image. We'll bring it into Illustrator. Let's do our exact same idea. We have these 2 little circles. Let's bring them below. One will sample the top color, and the other will sample the bottom color. We don't need it anymore. And that's pretty much just a yellow and red, right? So let's add this to our color palette. And we'll add this to our color palette. Delete. Click back on the circle, and let's see how it looks. I have a pretty bad feeling about this, but I actually deleted the main color. But it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look strong either. The solid yellow still looks more prominent. So again, strong yellow 1. And this is pretty much my design process. I pretty much take an idea, explore it. If I don't like it, I trash it. And I continue to recycle ideas. If you want to keep track of your ideas and not be like me and just delete them if you don't like them, I would just start creating artboards. So you can just create another artboard, match it up, and you can make your next logo here. And you can just continue on to do that. But I usually just work on one artboard for the sake of working on one artboard. So I think this is going to be the finished logo. I might tweak some things when it comes to shape, but this is pretty much the final composition, and there's nothing I can really be nitpicky about. Aside, of course, that all my shapes are overlapping the logo and it's not neat by any means. I'm going to clean it up. I might play with the colors to represent these images more. Maybe not have a solid black, but choose one of these colors from the darker ranges. And next up, we're going to choose a typeface, and then we're going to proof our final design before actually starting to use it in our style guides, our presentations, and making sure everything is clean, exact, and pretty much proofed. So I'll see you in the next lesson.